here, I'm trying to give her cash or something. She's like, what the fuck you doing? When you actually travel to South Korea, the first thing you'll need to pick up, let me scoot it closer. The first thing you'll need to pick up, which I think is the most important thing, is actually mobile data. I think that's probably the most important thing. So they talk about, oh, we have some of the best Wi-Fi in the world, up there with like some other countries. Yes, Korea does have very fast internet speeds, and yes, they also do have a lot of open Wi-Fi spots, but most of them are inaccessible. Most of them you can't use. And the issue is you're not, this would be a really like overarching theme, but you're not part of the system. And being part of the system, what I mean is it's like some type of like, how can we verify that you're part of the system, right? And for people that are not Korean, but they come to Korea to work or come to Korea as a student, they get some type of ID card. What was it called again? Or something?
An alien registration card.
That dictates so much what you can and can't do in Korea versus, say, traveling to London, for example. So the ARC card, alien registration card, the ARC is pretty much just like your ID for Korea. And when I came to Korea as a tourist before I started staying there, uh, when I came as a tourist, I didn't have one. But me, I did my research. So first, again, I got my mobile data, which is you need mobile data to set up your instant message stuff like Kakao Talk and get like some SMS messages to get verification. So once you get that thing set up, you think you're good. No, you you're like limited. Best way to sum it up. When I was out with a different friend, I him and I we were having a good time, and I was able to bring back another friend to my place, and uh, give that other friend some food, and gave her a toothbrush to use. She pretty much slept over at my place. And I'm trying to be so vanilla. She slept over at my place, and it was cool. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to that. But the next morning of, what do you do when you wake up? If you're not going to take a shit, you're going to do the other number two, which is eat some food. So I'm like, cool. Like, what do you want to eat? And she was like, oh no, you pick, which I knew she was going to do, of course. But you know me. So I'm like, I want some pancakes. So I went to Yogyo, and they had nothing. They had nothing for pancakes. I'm like, don't worry about it. And I went to the second app, and this app, I feel like it's actually more in depth than the first app, Yogyo. And they had like 3 different pancake selections. I'm like, cool, which one's nearby? Found one nearby. Bam. I'm like, what's the price? Because, budgets. I'm like, what's the price? Price was like super cheap. It was like $10 for like 2 people. They had like a special Sunday morning deal with like a little smiley face on there. It was like winky and everything. And I'm like, cool. So I go to put in my details of order, and I realized when I get there, because she's so excited, she's super hungry. I realized that I can't pay, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm here typing my my card information, and it just blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I can't do that. I'm like, okay, how about if I try to? I can't try to call them in person as well because they still want some type of verification, cashless type of payment. I'm like, can't do that either. And so I'm trying to like, what can I do next? And there's not even an option, which sometimes pops up, but for some reason it wasn't there, which is you pay in person. So I'm like, what can I do? And the options like Kakao Pay, Naver Pay, and I have Kakao, but I'm like, I can't do stuff with it. So I just wasn't verified. People who come to Korea as tourists, what can they do to, pay for food pretty much?
Yeah.
So
just gonna say, like,
okay.
Not being in the system is a real problem. And one of the things that you mentioned was about how the first thing, this is backtracking a bit, the first thing that you should do when you come to Korea is get mobile data. But anyway, so when you come to Korea, let's say you're still using your foreign SIM card, just like Chris said, there are Wi-Fi hotspots open everywhere, but you can't use them. The only way, so like let's pretend you're on the train, on the subway. The only way that you can use the free Wi-Fi on the subway, which is actually pretty good because you can watch YouTube videos, do all like, your personal work on just the subway Wi-Fi. It's actually a strong connection. But you can't even begin to use it if you don't have a Korean SIM card because it only picks up people with Korean SIM cards. So it's just like not being part of the system is a real thing. This segues right into what you were saying with the problem with ordering food. So I actually remember that experience because COVID really changed a lot for Korea. And one of them, just like Chris said, was removing the option to pay in person because they want everything to be faceless, contactless, because they didn't want the spread of COVID to happen. It makes sense. But now it becomes increasingly exponentially harder for a foreigner who happens to be in Korea, but they don't have an art card. Because if you're a student, you have an art card. And if you're like a teacher, you have an art card. Working in some other profession, you have an art card. And it's funny that we say art card because art just means alien registration card.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when people say ATM machine. Oh, I need to go to the ATM machine. Well, the M in ATM machine already means machine, automatic telling machine. So you're saying ATM machine, automatic telling machine, art card. Like it's anyway, I just had to get that out there. But
so
the point is, it's just like it's very hard to be in Korea for an extended period of time if you don't have this art card because now even doing basic things like accessing Wi-Fi, ordering food becomes difficult.
So back to our story, I tried to order food and I just couldn't. Even though I had the SIM card, I still wasn't Korean. I wasn't part of the system, just like Cairo just mentioned. So what I do, this is why I always gonna have a network of friends, always have a good network of friends. I hit up my homie Carl. Luckily he's awake because he was probably exercising early in the morning because he's always sticks to his goals. So I hit up. This was like maybe it's like 8 or 9 a.m. whatever it was, and I'm like, hey, yo, Carl, can you send me some money? And Carl's like, I know he wasn't thinking like I was broke or something, but he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't pay. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just can't pay. Like, they won't take my money, whatever it is. I don't have a Korean Kakao Pay, Naver Pay. And then Kara, like, of course, you're like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. So I sent Kara money, my own way, because also Kara is a US citizen. So I sent him like money his way, and then he was able to pay for it, and it was smooth. It was good. So definitely, he had my back. He had my back that morning at least as well. So thank you, Kara, for saving me for being part of the Korean system.
You got to be a bro.
Was there anything different that you remember? Or it was kind of just seamless like that? I told you.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, if you're a part of the system, so we talked a lot about not being in the system. But if you're part of the system, so like in my case, once again, because I'm a teacher here, so I do have this art card, living in Korea is smooth. When it comes to like, day-to-day tasks and basic things that you need to do. So for example, I use online delivery a lot, and not necessarily always for ordering food, but even for like ordering groceries. So here in Korea, and you can do that in America too, right? Like this isn't anything that's exclusive to Korea.
Instacart, Uber Eats, whatever, Safeway if you want to, CVS.
Yes. Yeah. But one of the advantages to ordering things online in Korea is that Korea is a small country. It's about the size of New Jersey. So when you order products online, everything usually comes within one day. So it's just like, if I want to order like groceries, they're coming the next morning, 7 a.m. So I don't even have to leave my home. I could be a hermit. And it's funny because I live very close to like a major grocery chain called Emart. Emart is basically Korea's version of like Walmart in the US. So I can just walk down the street. Yeah, but better.
You think better? Yeah, but better. Yeah.
So I could just walk down the street and do grocery shopping, but I don't even have to do that because they'll literally drop the groceries off in front of my doorstep. So life just becomes so much more convenient when you're a part of the system because one, everything comes like quickly within a day, not just food, but even like other miscellaneous items too. Let's say that you need a new drawer because you bought a lot of clothes. It's going to come in a day. Let's say that you need a new desk because you just feel like you don't have enough workspace. It's going to come in a day. Almost
Mm-hmm.
everything that you order from online delivery. And another app that's popularly used is Coupon, right? So Coupon,
Mm-hmm.
interestingly enough, for like you business folks out there, is actually listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Coupon is basically Korea's version of Amazon, right? So
Right.
China, they have like Alibaba. America, we have Amazon. In Korea, they have Coupon, right? So Coupon's like expanding, but still, as I said, since Korea is quite small, like the size of New Jersey, it has a long way to go. But even most things that you order from Coupon, most, not all, you get them within a day. The things that usually take longer than a day are the things that you have to order from abroad. So me, I'm a big fan of cereal.
Send it. Oh.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, you
Sorry.
said it. You already knew it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but you can't get that natively here in Korea. In order to get Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you have to import it. You have to get it from abroad. And obviously that takes some time. That's not going to come in a day. But this is another thing, another kind of disadvantage to being outside of the system. If you're outside of the system, you cannot order things from abroad. You can't because you need actually a specialized like number that's given to you when you're ordering things from abroad. So even Chris, there was a time I think you needed something like from abroad, and I had to give you like my personal number. That way you could like
Yes.
order something. I don't remember exactly what it was though.
So yes, I had to still use Cara's number to order something, even though my number first got verified in the first place. And that's just stuff that you deal with being in Korea. You won't really notice things being in, say, most European countries, and of course the USA as well. Probably the same thing Canada as well.
So there are a lot of different deals that like once you're in the system, you can really take advantage of. And not being in the system goes beyond just like ordering food or mobile data, but like you can't even make reservations. So let's say that like you want to go to a nice place or an event and you need a reservation. You need to
Yeah,
be in the system. You
yeah.
cannot make reservations for anything, restaurants, events, etc., if you're not in the system. So it's just like your experience in Korea becomes very limited if you don't quickly become a part of the system. So then, like, all right, we understand if we're not a part of the system, then our lives won't be as comfortable. Then what can you do to be a part of the system? Well, like we said, there are very few ways to be a part of the system, but it's easy. Even though there are a few ways, it's easy to be part of the system. And it's basically come to Korea outside of being a tourist. If you're a tourist, it's really hard to be a part of the system. So I recommend for many of you guys who want to come to Korea and like experience comfortability, make a friend. And the good thing is, this friend that you make doesn't have to be a foreign broski like me, right? It could be a Korean person because obviously the Korean people, they're all a part of the system too. Going back to what Chris said about, the his friend who came over his place, she could have easily ordered the food, right? And then Chris could have given her the money to pay for it. But I understand why he didn't ask her to do that.
It doesn't matter if, say, the language barrier isn't that good. Everything Carl just said. Imagine if I was talking to someone that had even worse English. Do you know how difficult it would be? Here, give you here. I'm trying to give her cash something. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" She's like, "Mohe, mohe." Like she don't understand why I'm trying to give her cash. I'm like, "Oh no, I want you to pay for it." And then she'd be like, "Why can't you pay for it?" And just those type of questions. Why can't you pay for it? If she says out loud, you don't think those thoughts when you're in the system because everything just works. Everything just works. So you don't think about different things not working, or say another big thing, using a taxi. So using a taxi as well, you also run the issue as well. Luckily, you can at least book a taxi with Kakao Taxi. It's another like it's like a side app to Kakao Talk. Kakao anything. It's all like the all connected ecosystem. So yes, you can book a taxi with Kakao Taxi, but you can't just pay directly like Uber, for example. Uber, you go from point A to point B, it's already paid for. When you're a tourist and use Kakao Taxi, you set from point A to point B, but you don't get to pay until you're inside the car at your destination. And even then, you have to physically give them your card. I couldn't even tap. There's a little contactless thing on there as well that you can just tap as well if you say you don't book in advance, whatever. But that tapping thing, I think it's only reserved for Kakao Taxi. People that have Kakao Pay or Never Pay, which again, you need to be in the system. So yes, you can still take taxi, but it's more difficult. It's more difficult. But even more annoying, there is a certain type of taxis where you can schedule in advance. Oh, I have an airport ride. I need to be at the airport by 8 a.m. Let me schedule this taxi to arrive at 7 a.m. You can't do that. You can't do that unless you're actually in the system. Because when you try to register for this like blue or black taxi to come in advance, schedule advance, they ask you, now you need to pay in advance. Okay, cool. But it goes back to step one. How am I going to pay in advance? If you don't take my car, you don't take cash, take anything. So you're basically locked out. Not basically, you are locked out from being able to pay in advance and using any type of type of payment to avoid the hassle when it does come 7 a.m. and even close to the 8 a.m. too. Because then when it gets to 7 a.m., you call them, there's traffic. There's traffic. You're rushing the flight. You rush the flight, domino effect as well. And one last thing to wrap this up, because there's a lot of different things to talk about not having our card. When you're at the bar or the club, like you mentioned in our last episode, one of our previous episodes, when you're at the bar or the club, there are certain like hot times where people are trying to leave. Usually midnight, usually like 3 a.m. or right before the first train, which is like 5, 6 a.m., whatever. At this time, so you have a bunch of different taxis just lined up there, a bunch of them lined up there to pick people up, right? But that's random. That's just a numbers game as well. So what you want to do, you want to call a taxi before, right? Impossible. 300 other people are also calling taxi at the same time as well. So the chance that you will get a taxi in that club area is zilch. So what my friend Cairo did one time, because he's smart, obviously, he's like, Chris, why don't we just reserve a taxi in advance when we like left at like 8 p.m. or something? Like, why don't we reserve it in advance for like midnight or 1 a.m., whatever? We're good to go. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, oh, let me try this. Let me get you this time. I tried, and guess what it said? Fuck you, go away. It doesn't matter to do anything. It didn't accept what I did. So yeah, just if you want to avoid situations where you're waiting an extra 2 hours at the bar or the club because you can't get a taxi ride, just having an art card in general will save you time and just
you won't be as stressed out, right? So I kind of want to like just give my closing thoughts, right? This isn't to say if you don't have an art card, you shouldn't come to Korea. Korea as a tourist is still a great place because all the issues that we mentioned can be avoided in some way. For example, when it comes to ordering food, you can just go to the restaurants physically. When it comes to getting a taxi, you can just hail a taxi like you would normally. And even when it comes to like, other things like making reservations for events or getting mobile data, you can still get mobile data and have access to the internet. And as for event registration, for that one, you might just need help from a friend. And it's very easy to meet Korean people. If you make a Korean friend, whether it's a Korean guy friend or a Korean girlfriend, they're very friendly and they'll help you out. But we're just saying that if you're trying to be like, a one-man team and come to Korea on a tourist visa, you're going to run into some problems. So
good luck. Good luck with that as well.
Good luck with that.
Number one thing to take away from this, make friends. Make friends because you can't do yourself.
That's right.
And yeah, come to Korea. You have a good time, and you might even meet our friendly favorite person, Cairo. Yay! All right, we're out. We're done. We'll see you next
All
time.
right. Yep.
Peace.
Peace.